What do you think the most difficult thing is for the average person?
Most people complain about names and faces because it's something that they
okay, let's do names. How do we lock in names?
Yeah, I mean, just first of all, knowing how important it is really important. You mentioned mom, and so MOM, another acronym, and we'll get back to FAST also. Keep you
We're closing on FAST.
Exactly. But the M, so let's say anyone watching or listening to this, if they have trouble remembering names, which is 95% of the population, right? But let's say that there was a suitcase of like $1 million cash for anybody who remembers the name of the next stranger who's joining us, who's going to remember that name? Everybody, right? Yeah. And so the M in mom, the first M is motivation, right? And so I would say we're all great learners when we're motivated to learn, right? If we're motivated, there's some kind of reward that comes from it. But I would just say that maybe connecting with the reason why studying something, but that's why we forgot a lot of things in school. Like, what are we using the periodic table and the quadratic equation? What are we using that for? So we probably don't remember it, right? But if you ask yourself, simple technique, a brain hack when you're meeting somebody, ask yourself, why do I want to remember this person's name? Maybe it's to show the person some respect. Maybe it's to make a new friend. Maybe it's to get a referral. Maybe it's to practice these things I learned on this podcast, because if you can't come up with a reason, you won't get the result. And so it's so important when you read and study, if you're in school, if you're preparing for something for work, to tap into the purpose, because without that motivation, you're probably not going to remember. The O in mom was very simple. We did this kind of fun exercise where you shake out your hand, make a fist. I told people to put it to their chin, and everyone put it to their cheek because I did it to my cheek. But, the O stands for observation. And a lot of times people blame their retention, and it's not your retention, it's your attention. Because a lot of people, they're not really listening. What are they doing? They're waiting for their turn to speak. They're thinking about how they're going to respond. And if they're talking to themselves and listening, they're not going to listen to the other person. So they're not forgetting their name. They're just not hearing the name. So even if you take a word like listen, you write it down, and you do this little mental, gymnastics in your mind and switch the letters around, it spells another word perfectly. The word listen, so when you scramble the letters, spells the word silent. And people could be so much better at remembering things if they were just quiet and silent. But a lot of times they won't, because they're that monkey mind.
Sometimes they're just anxious. They maybe want to impress somebody, and they're not listening to what they're saying. And sometimes the most impressive thing to somebody is just paying attention to them.
I think that's so interesting to me, because so many people are trying to impress by being interesting.
But look how cool I am. Exactly. Hey, you're really cool. And that person goes, I like being around people who think I'm cool.
Exactly. And maybe it's not about being interesting, it's about being interested. To somebody, right? Because everybody wants to feel like they're heard and seen and ask questions, because it's everyone's favorite topic. And then finally, motivation, observation, the last M are the methods that we talk about. Like the B swab and some of the other techniques about saying the name, repeating it, visualizing the person's name, and doing
What was that like? Putting their name. What was the example?
If somebody,
Mary, and then
like here's the thing that I would imagine a lot of people are joining us. They're better with faces than they are with names. Right, you look at somebody and say, I remember your face, but I forgot your name. You never go to someone and say the opposite. You never go to someone, I remember your name. I remember your name, but I forgot your face, right?
Dave, you look different.
Right, exactly. And so the reason why is there's a proverb that goes, what I hear, I forget. What I see, I remember. What I do, I understand. What I hear, I forget. Heard the name, forgot it. What I see, the face,
I'm going to recall
it. And what I do, going back to practice, practice makes progress, right? Practice doesn't even make perfect, makes progress. Then you really understand. So I would say that when you visualize, since you tend to remember what you see, try seeing what you want to remember. So a person's name is Mike. Imagine you meet a Mike and they just jump on the table and start singing karaoke on a microphone. A split second. And it makes you laugh. You're probably going to remember it because it touches you emotionally.
His name is AlexxMedia. That's an invented
great
name. How are you going to remember it?
So I would say that take the name and transform it into a picture. So if I say the word Alexx, what do you think of? Like the first thing that comes to your mind.
Right now, weird. Alex Trebek.
There you go. That's amazing. And so if you can imagine Alexx, right, and you could see the Jeopardy board and everything else like that, then that's a way of associating things together. You meet someone named Emma, right, and you think of, like, oh, I have a relative that's like that, or Emma, like a famous Emma, or something that sounds like it. So if a person's, name is, I mentioned Andrew, for something that sounds like, if you're playing Pictionary, and you draw those ears, like sounds like, when you have to think in pictures. And and somebody thinks about an android, they're not going to call you android, but Have you ever forgot someone's name and you start going through the alphabet? Like, does it start with an A? Does it start with a B? And you get really nervous when you get to like W, because there's not a lot of letters like after that. But sometimes E, and you think of Eric, right? Or you think of D and you think of Dove or something like that. It just reminds you. So if you come up with something that sounds like Mary, you know, the person's getting married all of a sudden. It's Carol singing Christmas carols. For me, David, whenever I meet someone named David, I think of a slingshot right to their nose. Because David and Goliath, right? And it's so silly, but then it takes a split second, and I can't forget it, because when I leave that party or whatever later on, I was like, what did I do? What happened there? Oh, I shot him in the nose with a slingshot. What's his name?
Create like David. A cartoon almost in your head of an activity that's associated with the name.
It's a fun, you know what it does? It overcomes what I call the 6-second syndrome. When somebody tells you their name or you read, you have 6 seconds to do something with it. Otherwise, it's gone in the ether. Right? You're never going to get it back. So when it does, it gets you to focus on the person and it gets you to focus on the name. So even when it doesn't work, it still tends to work because it gets you to concentrate and pay attention. Yeah. So if a person's name is Mark, imagine you putting like a little check mark on their forehead. Like you would never forget that. And then that's what I remember. And once you know the person's name is Mark or Alex or anything else like that, then the picture disappears. I don't think of Jeopardy anymore, you know, because it was a means to an end. Yeah. Right. And how do kids remember names? Like, do you have your name made fun of growing up, or
Andrew? Not really. Andrew Pandrew. I don't know. Nothing really.
That's what they'll do. They'll they have their songs about it, and you know, with a name like Quick, I got like Nestle Quick, or all this kind of stuff. But that's how kids remember things. So using your imagination is definitely a plus.
You also said, I think it was with the names you were saying that you can. What was it? Put it in a scenario?
Yeah. Like if you, I think when you meet people with unusual names.
Oh, yeah. Asking them what the etymology is, but just like, why are you named that? Like if you said, my name's AlexxMedia, it'd be like, why are you named AlexxMedia?
Who are you named? Exactly. And everyone, I think a lot of people are flattered when you hear a name that you haven't heard before.
But how did you word it? Because the way I say it is antagonistic.
Yeah. Okay.
Why are you named that?
So when somebody tells you their name, like their name could be, I met a Rudiger the other day, right? I was like, you know, what's the origin? How do you spell it? You know, where's it from? Just because curiosity, that interest, being interested in somebody. Because remember, like we've all heard this, but like a name is the sweetest sound to a person's ears. Like think about like one of the first words you learn how to write. And, you know, maybe growing up praising you for just doing it like sloppy and everything else, you know. And so a name is so important. And so taking that name, asking about how you spell it or who you're named after or something like that takes interest. Plus, it just helps you to ingrain it also as well.
And it's more than just names that you're doing that with, right?
Yeah. Having a curiosity over anything is going to help you. Motivation and curiosity is going to...
Somebody told me a story about Bill Clinton, not an X-rated one. And they said he was like, they were at a party with Bill Clinton, and they were at that party, and there was also some family friends who were at that party, and all of them left the party thinking that Bill Clinton found them to be the most interesting human being that has ever existed. Like they all left the party with the exact same feeling, like that guy thought I was the best ever. He's got great taste. And then when they reconvened afterward, they shared the story, and they're like, oh, fuck, this is just this guy's skill. He has this amazing ability. And maybe it's like what you're saying. Maybe he wasn't entertaining. Maybe he was paying attention. Maybe he was interested.
Yeah. I met him briefly years ago. And like 2 years later, I went to a charity event. And it was 2,000 people in this gala for, this good cause. And I sit at my table I was assigned to. I was the first one there. And when I sat down shortly afterwards, Forrest Whitaker sits right next to me. Right. And then Richard Branson sits next to him. And I'm like, whoa, I think I got like sitting at the wrong. And then Ashton Kutcher sits down. His twin brother sits down. Okay. And Bill Clinton sits right next to me.
Get out of
And I was just like, wow. And I swear to you, he remembered my name.
Really?
Right? And we only talked for like a few minutes before.
Unbelievable.
Like, and I was like, okay, he was fed that. Like he knew who was sitting at his table clearly. And then I swear to you, he picks up the conversation we had 2 years earlier.
No.
Yeah. And I was like, I need to know how you do this. You know, I'm the memory guy. And he starts talking to me about his grandfather in Arkansas, how in the living room he would tell stories to all the kids, but something different. He would quiz each of them individually to see if they were paying attention. And while he was explaining this to me, I was like, I got this eerie feeling because I felt like I was the only one in that room of 2,000 people. You know, have you ever met somebody that they're just so fixated and you feel like you're the only one that exists? And I realized that his incredible memory, and regardless of politics, people would say that he has got this charisma, great connector, great communicator. But he's got this powerful presence. And I think his incredible memory and his powerful presence with people comes from being powerfully present with people. That his incredible memory and his powerful presence comes from being powerfully present. Right. And, you know, when he's looking at you, he's like asking, you know, thoughtful questions. He's listening with the idea that he wants to learn. And you feel like you're the only one exists. And there's many more important people in that room than me, certainly at that table than I was, but I felt like I was the only one. And so I thought I was the only one that was special. That
hate to break it to you.
But yeah, but again.
That's great that you asked him though. And he was forthcoming with the information.
Very, very much so.
And so his father would tell a story. And then, or his grandfather would tell a story, and then like during the story,
would just quiz them to see if they were paying attention to what was going on. And I think that's an incredible art. You know, I mentioned Larry King, and we did each other's show, and he has this curiosity. He always thinks he's like the dumbest person in the room.
I love it.
You know, and he has no ego about it, and he's just like very real. And when he asks a question, he sincerely, you can feel he sincerely wants to know the answer. Yeah. You know, and you know, they say that, you know, if you're the smartest one in the room, you're in the wrong room or whatever. Yeah. But he has this genuine, caring sincerity, you know, and so it just comes so authentic.
I wonder if an excellent memory increases self-confidence.
Yeah.
Because think about it, like if every interaction you're having with a human being, you can recall that last interaction, you'd be pretty confident in that conversation. You know something about that person. You can always reference a past story, picking up where you left off. You're going to baffle them. I mean, when Clinton started that story again, you would have taken it back, right?
And I've seen some press thing, but that just like, because you know he meets a lot of people. Yeah.
He does it for a living.
Yeah,
literally just meets people.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, whoa.
Yeah, when you meet,
I think he's writing down these events. You think?
I don't know about him, but I just know that this is a trainable skill. It's available for all of us. Because how are you going to again show somebody you're going to care for their business, their future, if you don't care enough just remember them? When you can remember their fiance's name, right, or you can remember important things about them. Yeah, they feel like you care, right? And I think that's such an important skill now, and like not just business etiquette and networking. I think it's an important skill in life. And we're all forgetful, right? It happens to the best of us, and yet we could be better. And it's worth it, because even when it comes to names and faces, unfortunately, it's a standout skill. Because if you could walk into a room and meet 20 strangers and leave saying goodbye to every single one of them by name, who are they all going to remember? Right? They're going to remember you. People remember people who remember them.